Made. Today we're doing social health and boundaries. So if you're curious about how to make your social health a little better and have better relationships with your friends, family, etc., boundaries are a very important part. We got 3 awesome guests here today. We're going to pull them through and we're going to go ahead and start them. I will start with my first tip. So for me, big thing the last year and a half or so has been kind of limiting my circle and figuring out who comes in, and boundaries are huge. I find my boundaries need to be aligned with my core values. If you haven't done personal core values, you need to sit down and figure out the 3 to 5 things that you require out of every friendship and every important person in your life. That is very clear to determine what boundaries you can and cannot cross. So honesty. If you find someone that's got excuses, making up reasons, they can't show up, if honesty is in your core value and they aren't honest, they probably should not be in your life, in your inner circle or anywhere close to your life, if it conflicts with your core values. So think of your core values, use those as your boundaries, and hopefully that helps improve your social health. So next up, we're going to invite Debbie out here. Hi, Debbie. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing great. A little bit of technical difficulty, but we're glad to have you. So first question I'm going to start with is, who are you?
Who am I? So I am a lifestyle accountability coach. And I got there through many phases of life. I am a mom, a dog mom, a wife. I used to be a corporate hospitality professional for 25 years. And now I am a very satisfied and loving coach. And I work with people on everything from health and nutrition to fitness, to business goals, to personal goals. And so really it just comes down to goal setting, accountability, and helping people become the best version of themselves.
I love it. The best version of yourselves. That's what we all are striving for and trying to teach. Even here at Millionaires Are Made, on that note, if I wanted to increase my social health through boundaries, what tip would you give me?
My tip is that we all need to focus on subtracting to add. So what that means is there's a plethora. I mean, you can go down the rabbit hole for literally hours on any sort of media platform looking at ways to improve your life. But a lot of the limiting action is that there's so much out there and we can do so many things that we can't focus on any one thing. So if we focus on subtracting things from our lives, and to your point in the intro, whether that's people in our lives that maybe don't align with our core values, or whether that's things that we're doing that don't align with our end goals, either right now or forever, if we focus on subtracting what's not working from our life and then adding in those things to make our lives better or to reach our goals quicker or more efficiently, then we set ourselves up for success. I work with my clients very closely. When you start working on your goals and you get excited, and whether that's, I'm going to take weight loss because the majority of my clients are weight loss clients. Everyone gets so excited and they're going to drink all the water and they're going to eat all the right things and they're going to exercise and they're going to run 10 miles a day. Yes, exactly. And it's great when you've got that initial motivation, but motivation doesn't last. And so you have to rely on discipline. And the way that you can really increase discipline is creating 1 to 3 very achievable, measurable tasks that you can start to implement as habits. So whether it's subtracting something, so I'm not going to eat dessert. I'm not going to eat, anything with sugar added. I'm not going to drink soda anymore. And I am not going to, whatever it is, I'm not going to eat after 6 o'clock at night, whatever those boundaries are for you. Then by eliminating those, you can then add back in. But what I am going to do is I'm going to drink 100 ounces of water a day. I'm going to eat whole foods, not processed foods. And so you can start to replace the habits that weren't working with habits that do. So by subtracting, it opens up space in your life to add in the healthier options that will create those boundaries for you to operate within and create a healthier lifestyle.
So if we bring that towards more of a social health, essentially you'd be, instead of getting rid of sugar, you'd be getting rid of, love bombers, getting rid of, toxicity, and then allowing that to add people that, in my sense, add to your core values and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So subtracting, like if somebody ever calls me stupid, that's going to be where I'm going to subtract that out of my life. Or if
Absolutely.
somebody ever, I don't know, the billions of things that we deal with every day in our social lives, if someone says something like this, or someone ghosts me, right? Some people get ghosted and they still like chase and chase and chase. So that could be a good subtraction, is if they ghost you, if it's your Tinder date and they don't show up, you got to block and remove and just move on, right? And just keep your social health nice and strong with a nice tight knit group of friends, family of choice if necessary, um, and subtract all that negativity essentially.
Subtract negativity, add positivity in whatever form that looks like: physical health, social health, environmental health, all of those ways that you can set yourself up for success by knowing what your boundaries are, by what you won't accept, so that you can then manifest and create what you do want in your life.
I like that. Getting rid of, just focus on the negative to remove, leaves room. It's like weeding almost, clearing the weeds out to let the plant grow. Love it. We've got about 1 minute left, Debbie. So how did you come up with this? Where did you learn? I assume it's from your coaching, but where exactly did you learn this kind of tip, the subtraction by addition?
Well, fortunately or
subtraction.
unfortunately, I've been a people pleaser my whole life as an event planner. You want the events to be the biggest and best. I grew up with
So true.
a very loving family. However, I was estranged from my mom from about my 30s on. And most recently, within the last 18 months, I have had to cut my dad out of my life.
Oh,
And
wow.
so really setting boundaries for my own social health and my own mental health has really, through coaching, I came in with a lot of experience to coaching, but as I coach others, I still learn every single day. And that was something I did learn from coaching, was that relationship, that dynamic was not good. That trauma was undermining some of my relationships with friends and clients and making me question. And so I had to go back and say, okay, I've got to eliminate, I've got to subtract him out of my life to be able to add the things that I do love and that make me feel good about myself.
I actually love that you brought up family, because that hits me at home. So I know during my 20s, late teens and college years, I didn't really talk to my family much. I think my brother and I didn't talk for a few years. One of my brothers. And then it kind of got to the point that my one brother, who's a complete alcoholic, right, and doesn't want to deal with it, cut him out probably like 7 or 8 years ago. Haven't talked to him, haven't blocked, all that stuff. And now my relationship with my father and my mother and my other brother are 10 times better. So essentially we just had to remove him out. And now all of us, but I talk to my nephews, I hang out with them. For a good 5 to 10 years, I probably was not very family oriented. And especially the last like 3 or 4 years, it's really gotten that way. So that's a really good point there.
You made space by eliminating the negative. And then that way the love and the relationships and that dynamic could grow. That's amazing.
That's very true. Thank you so much, Debbie. I'll bring you back in a little bit, but I'm going to bring out Tracy now. Thank you. Tracy!
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How's your morning going?
It's amazing. It's actually warm here in Texas again, so weather's beautiful. Sun shines outside.
Very cool. All right. Well, hey, tell me who the hell you are.
So I'm Tracy Reed. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, and I am a clinical trial administrator by day at a pharma company, managing clinical trials. And by night, sometimes in the afternoons, because I start my day job usually at 6 or 6:30 in the morning. And so in the afternoons and at nighttime, I do my side hustle, which I am a safety educator, teaching. Primarily, I was teaching women who had been in domestic violence situations, situational awareness, and how to use safety devices. But that's actually filtered over into college girls, realtors. I'm actually training men now too, because I'm actually finding that, when I ask a man, hey, do you ask your wife or your daughter, hey, are you protected when you leave the home? And they're like, oh, no, I never thought about it. So now I've moved my space into the men too.
And you sell tools, right? Like
brass
knuckles?
No brass knuckles, but I do. I train on primarily my first job is to train on mindset, because if you don't have the mindset to be able to, get out of a situation, to actually learn to hurt somebody, a tool won't do you any good. So I teach mindset first, situational awareness, and different tactics to use when you're in a garage, or coming to your door or whatever like that. But that's primarily my first basis of training. And then I go into the devices, and I train on stun guns, pepper spray, Kubaton.
Ooh,
I also have GPS tracking devices, anything like that. So
very
what I don't train on is guns, but I do carry a gun.
okay. All right. All right. Well, let me ask you this. If I was looking to improve my social health, get a little more out there, improve my friend group, my family, and I was looking to use boundaries to do that, what would you recommend?
Well, my tip would be to do your own inner work.
Okay.
By that, I mean, we all are humans and we all have triggers, probably, right?
Uh,
So everybody
Definitely.
has triggers with a friend or a spouse or a brother, sister, colleague. You have triggers that come up that, you might, have problems that you can't resolve, and or you let things take over and you get angry or whatever. And so
Okay.
inner work is, you start realizing that when somebody else triggers you, it's something within yourself.
Like they always say, only hurt people hurt people.
That is correct. Yes.
So let me ask you this. How did you come up with this? What happened in your life that kind of led you to start working on the inner work? And if I were to want to work on inner work, what would you recommend for me to do?
Well, the way I came up with it is, I was a domestic violence survivor
I'm
at
sorry
the
to
age,
hear that.
yeah, 21 years old. My
Yes.
very first marriage, he almost killed me the day after we got married. And
Oh my
I was
goodness.
gone and granted a divorce within 30 days. Back then, you could do that. And I was a domestic violence survivor, and then married 6 months later another guy, and I never healed from the guy that almost tried to kill me. And then I became a runner, and I ran from relationships. I ran from friends. I ran from everybody because I was not healed.
Because you had
And
no boundaries.
right, I did not create any boundaries. And so after 38 years, 48, 50, yeah, 38 years of therapy, therapist, prescription drugs to try to get over my trauma, nothing was working.
Oh wow.
Nothing. And so I got off of I only had one prescription drug all that time. And I decided to take myself off of it because my doctor wouldn't take me off of it. So I took myself off of it 13 years ago, and I've been trying to heal myself ever since. And although I was doing better, nothing was still working. And so last year in March, I decided to hire a mentality coach,
Oh, okay. Okay.
thinking that would help me. And it did, but it wasn't enough because although it helped me get my mindset where I needed to be, it didn't still get down to the root cause of all the trauma. So 3 months after that is when I went into the inner work. And I
Okay.
found the inner work
We have
by,
about 1 minute left.
yeah. So I met a girl who does energy healing. And
Oh, okay.
yes, and so I started doing energy healing. I've been in for 17 months now, and it's been the most amazing experience ever. I have had so much success with it. It's been the most beautiful thing ever I've
You
ever
need to
done.
give me her contact because I want her on this show. Energy healing is something that's, I don't know if it's trendy or I'm just getting more into it, but I've met quite a few energy healers and people that are just swearing by it.
It's the most amazing experience I've had. I actually feel like I'm finally healed. I don't have I don't have the traumas that came up, and the things that were sabotaging my marriage and my relationships with my friends and colleagues and everything else. So, am I fully healed? No. Am I healed to enough that where I'm recognizing things that are, that I'm learning? That's the part where you start really kicking in and you understand that, okay, I'm healing now, and you're starting to recognize and you start taking um, accountability for things that you've done.
That's awesome. So are you setting more boundaries now?
I am.
So
Yes.
energy healing is now helping you set those boundaries and kind of keeping your social health intact.
Yes, it did. I had to create boundaries that I didn't want to have to do. I mean, I created boundaries with my husband. I created boundaries with my stepkids who didn't like me. And, the very first year in, I didn't even go to Christmas. I didn't go to functions. I didn't go to family or anything, literally nothing. And my husband said I was sabotaging my relationships. And I'm like, no, I'm creating boundaries because I have to create them for them to learn to respect me.
That's correct.
And it's been 17 months and I have to admit, it's been the greatest thing ever.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right, Tracy, I know we could talk all day long, but I'm going to
Yes,
have to
we could.
move on to the next one. We'll bring you back on here in a second.
Okay.
Hello, hello.
How's it going, everyone?
Oh, looks like it's sounding all right. Tell us, who are you?
What's up, guys? So you are tuned in to Devon Martin. That's my name. I am the host, the owner, all the above CEO of Self-Talk. And self-talk is what we say to ourselves and about ourselves. It's our inner dialogue. I'm not talking about the pep talk you give yourself in the mirror or in the shower, in the bathroom, right? These are the conversations that we're having with ourselves all of the time. And so primarily, I'm a mindset coach. I help someone who is not receiving the results and the outcomes that they wish to have. I help them change their mindset, reprogram their subconscious, because that's what holds all of our core programs. And once you reprogram those ideas, those thoughts, those beliefs, you can truly become your greatest version. You can be who you want to be. You can do what you want to have, and you can literally control your destiny. You can control your fate and decide where you want to be in the world. So you can find me on all social media, Self-Talk On, because you got to turn your self-talk on. It's not going to work for you if you don't turn it on, right? So that's a little bit about myself, Devon Martin at Self-Talk.
All right, Devon. If I wanted to increase my social health by the use of boundaries, what is one simple tip that you could give me?
Yeah, so increasing your social health using boundaries. So for me, everything starts up here in your mind, the territory between your ears. So I would recommend that you guys shift your focus, right? So focus plays a huge part in all of our social interactions, because I can walk into a room and I can walk into that room with the mindset of, I don't know if people are going to judge me. I don't know if I'm truly supposed to be here. I'm not sure if I'm going to make that connection or shake that person's hand right. You're going to walk into that scenario already kind of like in a negative energy, not giving yourself the best advantage to succeed. However, if I decide to shift my focus and I say, I'm going to make the best out of this interaction, when I am introduced to these people, or when I'm in this social circle or this situation, this environment, I'm going to be positive. People are going to love to talk to me, to speak to me, to be around me. And that's just a shift in focus, and having that awareness to, realize, okay, where is my mindset right now? Is my mindset in if they're going to judge me? Are they going to, does my breath stink? Like all these different things that run through our minds, right? Let's not focus on those negative things. Let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on the outcome actually going in our favor. And if we approach our social interactions like that, we'll have greater success.
So let me ask you, how can you switch your mindset simply? Are there certain tips or tricks that you use to shift your focus when you're entering a social interaction?
Yeah, 100%. So if you kind of understand how it flows from the top down, so you have your thoughts, your beliefs, those go into how you speak about yourself and to other people, and then your actions. How you speak is going to influence your actions, and your actions influence your habits, your behaviors, etc., etc. So the easy, simple tip is, again, just shifting your focus. It's making that decision to think differently. So if my thought is telling me I'm not sure if I'm worthy enough to be in this social situation, I don't know if people are judging me, the simple thing to do is stop thinking that and think something different. It's shifting your focus. It's shifting your mindset. It's making an internal decision to think in the positive, or to think towards your outcome or towards the result that you want to have. So, it's not difficult at all to be thinking, hey, I'm nervous, I'm shy. Wait a minute. You know what? I think I'm actually going to have a good time in this social interaction. Simple. And then go about it. And I guarantee it'll be amazing, but you'll actually act differently. Your behavior will be different because you've made the decision to change that thought.
So start with your mindset, and hopefully that'll help build your boundaries for your social interactions. Let me ask you this: what happened in your life? How did you come up with this tip? Tell us a little more of that background. By the way,
Yeah,
you have one
definitely.
minute.
You know, the interesting thing is I was not a confident person. I was super shy. I could not get a date.
Can't see that now.
Right, exactly. And but it's because of these things that I learned, these mindset shifts. So for me, it was a lot of different just experiences and learning. First was just awareness and looking at other people. And some of my friends were just so suave, so cool. It's just like, man, like everyone loves you. Why does everyone love you? Like, what's going on with you, you know? And I would just become aware of certain people and how they interacted in different situations and see like, okay, so it is possible. There is a version, you know, of you that has that confidence, that has that ability to, you know, move through the crowd and for everyone to truly enjoy you and love you. And then I just started to get more into self-development, reading books, and then one of the greatest books that made this influence, this impact on me is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Carnegie,
And
yep.
so, yeah, you're familiar. So you already know. When I read that book, just light bulb after light bulb, and that changed a huge part of my life. So that's a great resource. If you guys are listening, I would definitely recommend that book. And get yourself a mentor as well too. I also had mentors who were able to guide me and show me how I was changing and developing through the course of my journey. And now we're here today.
Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up and bring in Debbie and Tracy. And there is a little bit of an echo, so I'm gonna try to be super quiet. We've got about 7 minutes left, so let's quickly kind of go over each other's tips. So we'll start with Debbie. Go ahead and refresh what your tip was, and then we'll have Tracy and Devon respond to that. Then we'll go to Tracy's tip and have Debbie and Devon, and then Devon's. And I'm going to try to stay quiet since there's a lot of echo, so it's nice and clear for our viewers. So Debbie, go ahead and refresh our memory with what your tip was.
My tip is to subtract to add.
All right, Tracy, what are your thoughts? Any reflection on that?
I love that because I like how she said subtract the negativity and add the positivity. That is so part of the inner work that I'm actually doing. So I think it's a great tip for everybody.
Awesome. Devon, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so Debbie, that was amazing. Subtract to add. And what I'd like to add on to that is the understanding that whenever we go through experiences in our lives, we actually hold on to that emotional trauma. We hold on to those events and those things in our mindset and in our bodies. So when you're coming across these experiences and you're having these same, you know, things going on over and over and over again, it's because that energy is still trapped in your mindset and your body. So Debbie's absolutely right when she's saying you have to subtract because you got to get rid of that stagnant energy. You have to get rid of those limiting beliefs. And if you hold on to them, you're just piling them down on top of you more and more and more and more. But as you begin to subtract and release a lot of these things that are stuck within you, you actually can thrive. So that's a great framework. That's a great modality to live your life from. Subtract all these negative things, these negative experiences, and focus on the positive. So that was a great tip.
Nice work, Debbie. All right. All right, Tracy, refresh us what your tip is.
Yeah, so my tip was, doing the inner work, which I consist that of writing your AM and PM routine. So in the mornings, I do an AM journaling. And I always try to write my positives out, my gratitudes every morning. I write my wins, actually I write my wins in the day, but I'm grateful for everything that I can think of in the mornings. And then in the PM routines, I write my wins for the day. What did I do good? What did I accomplish that I can give myself a pat on the back and remain in a positive mindset? And then the additional part to that, I would also write and burn. So
Well, we did that one earlier, yeah.
Yes, and so what I was doing, I would write down the things that I would have problems with, if I struggled something. And I found myself, I used to go back and I would keep my journals and doing that, and I would go back and I would start kind of getting into a kind of a state of like, oh my God, this is who I was, And so I quit keeping those bad things in my journal and I literally took a bucket and started just putting them in a bucket and then I would burn them once a week
That's awesome.
because I felt like when I burned that, I literally could burn that past version of who I was, who I hated. And so those are my tips that I felt like they have been crucial for me.
That's awesome. All right, Debbie, what do you think about doing the inner work and
I
journaling?
100% agree with that. And Tracy and I have had very similar paths. I also was in a domestic violence situation that I got out of, thankfully. And those patterns of people pleasing and going through family situations stayed with me. And everything we do and everything we are is energy. And whether that's negative energy or positive energy, you have to find ways to focus on the positive. So yes, the journaling, the gratitude, what you focus on is what grows. So if you focus on the negative, that's where you see those negative patterns continue. If you do the inner work to shift your perspective and shift your focus and be able to really focus and grow the positive, that's where you see old patterns break and new energies grow. So absolutely, that inner work is so important. It starts with the mindset and the inner work to create whatever life you want to live.
You kind of already brought Devon's tip in, but Devon, let's hear your reaction to Tracy's tip about the inner work.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's all good. A lot of people that are not in this space, right? They actually have never heard of the terms like the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, right? Or the unconscious mind. And I think what Tracy is kind of shedding light on is that we have a unconscious part of ourselves that holds these programs, these ideas, and these beliefs. And it's not until we do the inner work that we go deeper inside of ourselves and try to unearth these limiting factors that we can actually move forward in our lives. So you can continue to strive, to push, to grind, to hustle. But as she was experiencing Tracy, until she actually started doing that inner work, going deeper into her unconscious levels, did some of these really big changes start to occur. So you got to do the inner work, man. You can't,
Yes, you do.
You can't leave that out. Yeah.
Hey, Devon, do you want to really quickly just remind us what your tip was?
Yeah, and my tip was just shifting your focus from negative states, negative ideas, negative beliefs to something positive or your outcome and the results that you want to have.
All right, Tracy, let's have you touch on that a little bit.
So I completely agree on that, Devon, because man, when you can shift the negatives, um, that is such a critical thing. And what I feel like is the most important is that when you can recognize when you have a negative and you immediately can recognize it and then forgive yourself for it or forgive or ask for forgiveness from somebody else. And the quicker you can start doing that, the more you can start really recognizing it more and more, and then eventually you kind of stop doing it. Those negatives become less and less and less, and the positives become more and more and more because you're not, nobody wants to say they're sorry when they're wrong, but when you realize that and you start recognizing it and then verbally speaking that, it's an amazing accomplishment that you can do when you can recognize it that quickly.
I actually just got done reading Ed Milet's The Power of One More, and one of his chapters is kind of on that. Like when you say something negative in your mind, you cross it out, and then as it gets crossed out, eventually it's just a black square in your head, and you stop calling yourself stupid or any of those negative things. So that's kind of touches on a little bit. Debbie, what do you think about Devon's tip?
Totally agree with it. And it's actually along the lines of something that Gabby Bernstein preaches, which is to choose again. So when you feel yourself spiraling or getting out of control or going down a negative thought pattern, you recognize it, you stop yourself, and you choose again, meaning you choose a positive thought. So if you're thinking, to use your example, that was a stupid thing that I did. You stop yourself, you notice, wait a minute, that's a negative thought. That wasn't stupid. That was a trigger I experienced. That was a reaction to something that set me off. And I choose to handle it differently. And so choosing again is another way of saying shift your focus. And it absolutely works.
And who was the author that you mentioned right there?
Gabby Bernstein.
So it sounds a lot like we went social health and boundaries, but a lot of it kind of touched on your mental health. So essentially your boundaries are going to be determined by how you're feeling and how your mental health is happening with it. And obviously, healths overlap a lot, but a lot of you heard Debbie, Tracy, and Devon, and a lot of them started with your inner self and setting those boundaries so that when your outer self and you're meeting new people, you have the boundaries set. The people that you want in are allowed in. People that you want out are allowed out. And a lot of that does start with mindset. So thank you all very much. We have one last task, though. We have to come up with a simple challenge for all of our viewers, including yourselves, to do every single day that takes less than 5 minutes, costs $0, and will help our social health with boundaries. Any ideas? Go ahead. Free reign.
I've got an idea. It's an activity I just went through myself a few weeks ago. And it's something that takes no money, no tools, very little time. It's to sit down and write down your negative thoughts. So if we're focusing on social health, write down all the negative thoughts that you have about your social health. People don't like me. I don't get along with other people, whatever those limiting beliefs are. Sit down, write out 10, 20 sentences about what those current limiting thoughts are. Then as soon as you're done with those 10 to 20, you shift over and you reframe every single thought into a positive of, people want to spend time with me. People trust me. I have great relationships with other people, and you reframe them.
Any other ideas, Tracy and Devon?
Yeah, I had one. I too, writing. I mean, I did not realize the power of journaling. And I literally just got through doing a 21-day gratitude journaling because I was so focused on what I didn't have and what was wrong that I could not see the goodness that I had in my life right now, right in front of me. And so when I did the consistency of literally journaling for 21 days of gratitude, it completely changed my entire outlook. So that would be my tip. 21-day gratitude journal.
Okay. Devon, any ideas on either of the other tips?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of Debbie. That process is just so powerful. And the amazing thing about that process is as you begin to take these thoughts and these ideas out of your mind and write them down on paper, what happens is your actual mental effort and work starts to be much faster. So when you're in your day-to-day life, you're going to be able to recognize, oh, wait a minute, there's that thought that I wrote down. Okay, let's reframe it. Let's switch it up, right? So taking these ideas out of your head and writing them down is powerful, and it'll help your mental process kind of, run along even better than if you were just trying to do that process mentally. So I think that was a great one. Yeah.
All right. So what if we try to combine all of these and we do something like open a note, like a note app or whatever you use for notes on your phone. And when you have a negative thought, you need to write it down. Once you get to 5, or at the end of the day, whatever is easier for you, you take your 5 negative thoughts. We go on camera and film how we turn those to a positive mindset. And that's it. I mean, five negative thoughts you've had throughout the day. And then we write down 5 positive ones with it. Maybe take a picture, put it on social media, and just make that the challenge.
Perfect.
Okay.
It takes in a little bit of everyone. It's simple. It's easy. And yeah, I mean, if we can shift some mindsets and focus, shift the focus here, I think that'd be good for this next week. Everyone able to do it?
Absolutely.
Down.
All right, we'll do it. We'll start that challenge today. So if you want to time block it tonight or tomorrow morning or however you want to do it, you'll see me every day. I'll be posting 5 negative thoughts and 5 positive transitions, and I'll be tagging all of you guys as well.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much for coming. We're going to wrap it up here. You guys were all great. Fantastic tips. Hopefully we can get some boundaries built and improve some people's social health. And